Welcome to Ghouls Night Out with your hostesses, Brandy and Jody.
Hello, beautiful ghouls. Welcome. This is Brandy. I'm here with my sister, Jody.
Hello.
So I have a stupid joke that I heard on Is We Dumb a while back because I lost my joke I was going to do.
Okay.
But did you hear about the guy who pasted glitter to his testicles?
No.
That's pretty nuts.
Oh, God.
Pretty nuts. Well, we've had glittery pussy on here before, so...
So you have to have some glitter nuts now.
Okay, so now I have some people who have doorbell cameras. They share the worst things that they've ever caught on them.
Oh, gosh.
First one, there is a guy that pets my plants sometimes.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah. Next one, at 5 a.m, my husband, half asleep, answers the doorbell on his phone in bed next to me. It's a toddler wearing nothing but a PJ top and underwear. Toddler says, "Can my son's name come out and play?" Husband, still half asleep, says, "Not right now, maybe later." About 3 minutes later, husband suddenly sits up as the reality of the situation dawns on him. He rushes out of the house to track down a wandering toddler walking barefoot in the streets in freezing weather. Turns out my son's toddler friend from daycare, who's been to our house once for a play date, just straight walked out of his front door undetected and memorized the route to our house.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh my gosh. What a ballsy little kid.
I don't know what I would do if that happened.
It would take me no seconds at all to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, me neither.
And go out there and be like, where's your mother?
What are you doing? You're so cute, but what are you doing?
And no, it's not playtime.
He's like, screw this sleeping shit. I want to play.
That's really cute.
But that he could find his way.
Oh my God, I know.
Wow.
Okay, next one. A chemical plant blew up a few miles from my house, and you could hear the distant explosion and see an orange glow on our camera.
Ooh.
The creepiest thing I saw was the night I had 2 cops come to my door. They stood outside the door talking to each other about if I was home or not and who would rape me first.
What?
I called 911. The operator told me they didn't have cops in my area and to stay away from the door. Put at least one more locked door between me and them and stay on the line and stay quiet until I get the real cops. The real cops could get there. I live around the block from the fire department, so it was less than 2 minutes later when a fire truck pulled up and the 2 fake cops ran off.
Oh my gosh.
Holy
now see, I would
shit.
be screwed. I have no other locked doors.
Yeah. Well, you need to get like a 2x4 or something that you could prop up against your doorknob. Something, because they've come in, you know, they open in.
Yeah.
So you got to worry about that shit. You got to worry about your windows too. That scares me. Next one, 6 people standing about 10 feet from my door, just staring at my house. They were muttering to each other for almost 20 minutes before going to the next house on the row and muttering there too.
Weird.
What the fuck? A Honda Civic riding back and forth slowly around the neighborhood, playing ice cream truck music loudly, hoping it was a stupid prank and not something more sinister. That does sound like a prank. I hope that's what that was.
You never know.
Next one, some dude came to our door in the middle of the night, kept saying, "Do y'all have gasoline?" and then just walked off.
Okay.
Around 6 a.m, a man rang our doorbell, and a few times he began to reach his hands into his pants and talk to his penis.
Oh, God.
What the fuck? Next one, my little brother is a sleepwalker. This one time he snuck out of the house while still asleep. My sister said she heard someone talking just outside the door, went to look, and saw my brother sat on the porch couch, apparently having a conversation with my grandpa. She said he was telling my grandpa, I love you and I'm going to miss you.
Oh, no.
Next one, I saw a person running through my yard, high as a kite, in their underwear, screaming at police at the time stamp of 4 a.m. I have no idea how I didn't wake up to this, as it ended in my front yard.
Ooh, weird.
Next one, my mom saw a guy wandering around her yard with a baseball bat in hand late at night. My brother, and our Great Dane went out to ask him what the fuck he thought he was doing, and the guy ran off immediately. Next one, I think I found a guy trying to stake out my place. He came up to my door, knocked on it, tried to ring the doorbell was broken, and finally rang the Ring doorbell. So does the Ring camera come on when someone rings your doorbell? Is that what it is? Okay.
Actually, I think, because I had one for about a minute, I think it's motion detected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's motion detected.
Okay.
That's why cops use them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Next one. Some piece of shit stole my boyfriend's package. Hope you enjoy your $20 wax burner you committed a federal crime for, dickweed.
I don't think they care.
No. A full-grown man had a gun and shot someone. Don't know if he missed or not. All I knew was I was scared.
Ooh, yeah.
That was my last one.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I did stories about encounters with witchcraft, voodoo, and the occult.
Ooh.
In First Nations culture, a bear walker is someone who uses our sacred medicines for bad and not good. They can make someone very sick. Only a medicine man may reverse it, and it often comes as a gamble for the bear walker. Once reversed, they will suffer more than the one they made sick. I was 20 years old and very healthy. One night I had a dream I was in a field and was picking wildflowers. From each direction, a tornado was coming at me. I woke up in a fevered sweat. That began 2 months of sheer misery. My doctor kept saying that I had a UTI. She would give me antibiotics and it would subside for a while. I lost 40 pounds in the span of 2 months. By the end of it, I couldn't walk, barely ate. Finally, my mom got tired of it. My sister bundled me up and we went to the hospital. Though an earlier ultrasound showed nothing, there was a huge growth on my ovary. A few days later, I had surgery, and when the doctor came to visit me, he said he'd never seen anything like it. It was a yellow, almost concrete-like substance around my ovary.
Oh my God.
I got better, but my mother remained unconvinced and scheduled an appointment with a medicine man. We gave him tobacco, and he smoked a pipe and sang a song. He said something along the lines of a woman seeing me at a powwow. She became interested in who I was because of my mother. She threw a piece of medicine in my path. I stepped on it, and it went up the right leg. He asked me if I still felt it. I said yes. He took a bone, what kind I'm not sure, placed it in the area, and began to suck. Weird, I know. He started vomiting yellow,
Ew.
like the doctor said. He gave me medicines and rituals for my mom to do. I went home that night and slept for 13 hours. My sickness never returned.
What? See, I'm very skeptical about voodoo, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But then you hear these stories. It's just like everything else. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
If even one is true.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
This happened a few years ago. I was on a dating site and matched with an attractive person, so I started chatting. We made it to the plans tonight part of the conversation, and she told me she was going to play hide and seek with Fluffy.
Uh-huh.
Pointing out the item in their second profile picture, a bloody rabbit mask.
Ugh.
Okay, let's be weird. So I played along until she mentioned that they would be playing in my basement. I thought, how in the hell? Wild guess, probably. I lied and told her I didn't have a basement. Immediately, she texted, oh yeah? And I heard Snickle Fritz booming from the basement.
What?
Well, I don't know what that means.
Maybe the rabbit's name?
Oh, I don't know.
Anything coming up from the basement is fucking creepy.
Well, yeah. Just Snickle Fritz, though.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird. I won't lie to you, I about shit myself.
Yeah.
Obviously, I blocked her and froze for an hour before I gathered the courage to check my completely enclosed from the outside basement.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't find anything, thankfully. I didn't have a smart device at all, and I didn't have any speakers that could have been hacked. I didn't even have wireless internet at the time. The basement was completely empty. I can't explain it in the slightest.
Holy shit, that is scary.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. I went to a voodoo shop in New Orleans that had a lot of signs up that said no pictures. My boyfriend's mom wanted some voodoo dolls and wanted to see pictures of them before he bought them. I told him not to because I had a bad feeling about it. Immediately after taking the picture, his cell phone lost signal. Mine was totally fine. He couldn't send the picture, so we walked outside and a car drove by and splashed him with water, but I was dry. Freaked us out. I told him to delete the pictures and we had to buy the 2 dolls he took pictures of.
Oh my gosh, that's creepy.
I know. A ghost pulled my father from the ankles out of his bed when he was sleeping because he didn't want to go to his aunt's funeral that same week. My mom was with him, of course, and woke up to see how he was just in the middle of the bed with his legs dangling outside, and he was scared, pale from fear. We have had so many paranormal stuff happen to us. Maybe it's because of where we live.
Creepy.
When I was a teen, a bunch of my friends went through a Wiccan phase. I honestly thought it was a bunch of hooey, but played along for the most part. Because, hey, they couldn't get into drugs or horses instead, right?
What?
I don't know. That's like nothing alike.
No, people are weird.
But despite thinking it bullshit, there was one moment that made me question things. Us girls had met up to hang out, and one was brandishing a wooden walking stick. I have poured my energy into this totem, she declared, then started passing it around the room. The others cooed about how they could feel the power within as they held it. Of course, someone handed me the stick eventually. I could barely contain my eye roll as I took it. As I held the walking stick, it sent a tingling sensation up my arms.
Oh, weird.
I passed it on quickly. Not as dramatic as some of the stories here, but gosh, that was weird.
That is weird. And you know, when you're skeptical about something and then you actually feel something, you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I had this sudden bout of nightmares and sleep paralysis. I wasn't going through a stressful time or anything, and I don't freak out easily. I grew up watching 80s and 90s horror films, and I normally sleep with total darkness and doors closed. These nightmares were super sudden and happened almost every night. It was constant sleep paralysis where my room was on fire, or there were bats thrashing around above me, or there was a figure hovering over my body and I couldn't breathe. Sometimes my speakers let out strange frequency-type sounds even when it was switched off. Things would fall off my shelves, etc. My mom would always find me sleeping on the couch the next morning with the TV on because it was so crazy. Suddenly it all stopped, and when I told my mom, she admitted that she had sought advice from a priestess who engraved a blessing for me on a silver pendant and instructed my mom to place it in my room. She didn't want to tell me to see if it would work. I have never had such episodes since.
That's crazy.
I know. I wonder what was causing it.
I don't know. Something, though, had to have been if something helped it.
Yeah.
Weird.
I was about 13 and my grandma was a believer in spirits, witches, etc. Well, I had just pissed her off and she told me I was going to pay. That night, I woke up about 3 in the morning and saw a little kid with a green shirt on in my room. He stared at me for about a minute and I couldn't look away. He then ran out of my room, straight through the door, laughing. About 30 minutes later, another figure appeared in my room who looked about 15. He just stared at me and mumbled something, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't talk, scream, or move. I could only look. He then vanished into seemingly thin air. The next night, I woke up at about the same time, and it sounded as if there were 50 people in my room screaming at me to kill myself,
Oh my God.
kill my family, and just a lot of negative thoughts in general. The next day, I got anointed, and it stopped. Later that day, I had to see my grandma, and I instantly started to get sick after I hugged her, and she just sat there with a smirk on her face. I then got anointed again, and it stopped. I still can't explain how she did it, but I still, to this day, am afraid to make my grandma mad.
Evil
That's
grandma.
just, yeah, fuck off.
Seriously. Wow.
I used to work in an occult bookstore. We sold mostly psychic nonsense and spiritualist, new agey stuff. But there was a bookcase in the back with the real expensive stuff, and the owner was this real old, real wise man. This woman used to come in when I was working, and she'd just talk for ages and ages. It was a nonstop stream of bullshit. She knew this, she did that, did you know about this, on and on. She'd suck up a ton of time. If you've ever heard the term energy vampire, it would apply here. When she left you, you just felt drained. One day she comes in while the owner is there. She walks up to the counter and starts her shtick, and he's very polite and listening, but she just sort of runs out of steam, like within 60 seconds. She hums and haws a bit and then walks out of the store. It would usually take me an hour to get rid of her, and he shut her down in a minute flat with a smile on his face. I mention it to him, and he says, there's a circle of protection painted under the floor for a reason.
Oh my gosh, what?
And this one's my last one. Kid I was friends with in high school was jumped on 2 separate occasions. First, a mutual friend lured him outside his house, where a large group of dudes waited. One of them jumped him and beat him fairly badly. Second was a very high school meet me after school type fight, which my friend won and was subsequently jumped by the fight loser's boxer friend, the one he got severely fucked up. So fast forward a year or so. It said FF. I had to.
Oh.
So fast forward a year or so, he and I have kind of grown apart. He tells me he's getting into Satanism and made a pact to sell his soul. He asked for 3, the one that lured him, the loser of the second fight, and the boxer, to all be killed. Luring guy died in a freak car accident 2-ish years later, thrown from the back of a topless Jeep. Loser of the second fight died 4-ish years later, heroin OD.
Oh my God.
Boxer died 4-ish years later, don't know. We're in our mid-40s now. He's married with a kid. All probably total coincidences, but at the time it was like, what the fuck did you do?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's all I got.
All right. Okay, I have either someone who predicted the future or had a glitch in the Matrix.
Okay.
In high school, I was staying at my friend Claire's house. I forgot my phone charger, and this was in the late 2000s before everyone had the same charging cord, so my phone was dead. We went and saw a movie, and the next day when I got home, my mom asked me how the movie was. I asked her how she knew I was at the movies, and she said I had texted her. Lo and behold, I look at her phone, and there is a text from me saying I was at the movies with Claire. There was nothing on my phone as it was dead, and to this day I still have no idea how that could have happened. I'm convinced that a parallel universe temporarily overlapped or something.
Or they have some kind of psychic powers because they wanted to text, but they couldn't.
Maybe.
So they mind did it.
Maybe they had the very first smartphone. Next one, about a month after I met my husband, I had a dream about him sitting at Disneyland with a little girl on his lap. I told this story to some people, so I know that I had this dream. We dated for almost 5 years before getting married. After about 2 years, we had a little girl. We went to Disneyland when she was 8. At one point, I was coming back from a trip to the bathroom, and there she was sitting on his lap exactly as in my dream. I guess when you meet your soulmate, you do.
Got chills.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Next one, I recently looked at my first dog's cremation certificate, and the same day my first dog was cremated, the dog I have now was born.
Aww.
Same exact day, a year later. It makes me more convinced than ever that she was supposed to be in my life, especially since she didn't want to be with anyone but me when I went to go see her for the first time.
Aww.
Cute. Next one, shortly after my parents had separated, I had a dream that my mom was dating someone new. It was such a vivid dream that I couldn't fall back asleep. Not long after that, my mom introduced me to her new boyfriend. It was the same man from my dream.
Ew.
That's creepy. I went through some childhood journals and found/remembered that I used to talk to my grandpa a lot in a field behind my grandma's house. My grandpa died before I was born, but I've always felt this strange connection though I didn't remember talking to him until now, which scares me.
Ooh, that is weird.
That is weird. Next one, sometimes I can guess the final Jeopardy answer without ever hearing the clue. They always announce the category before going to a commercial break, and I get this gut feeling and say the answer aloud before we're even given the clue. This happened over 5 times now, and I'm amazed when I'm right.
They need to go on the show.
Hell yeah. Win some money. I was driving and noticed a car ahead of me with a memorable license plate. A few minutes later, the same car with the same driver was driving toward me. Not enough time had passed for her to get far enough to turn around and head toward me. It was so bizarre, and I've never forgotten it. I had just moved with my fiancé on September 8th, 2001. He worked in the World Trade Center while I worked by Wall Street. The morning of September 11th, I woke up early with a horrible feeling of dread that something awful was going to happen. I tried to shrug it off since I typically suffer from anxiety, but it wouldn't stop. I don't know what made me do it, but I turned off his alarm so we'd be late for work. He woke up about 25 minutes after it would have gone off, and we rushed to get ready and jumped in a cab. We were a block away when the first plane hit. I've never been able to forget that if I had not turned off his alarm, he would have been sitting in his office.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. That is fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I've had several random instances where I think about someone I haven't talked to in a while, sometimes even a celebrity I looked up on IMDb, and they die shortly after. It almost recently happened about 3 weeks ago. Out of the blue, I wondered about an old friend I hadn't spoken to in about 3 or 4 years. She died the next day in an accident. May just be a random coincidence, but it always freaks me out a bit when it happens.
Yeah, I'd be freaked out too.
Yeah. I try not to think about anybody ever.
Yeah.
Next one, quite often I'll be thinking of a song I want to hear or quietly mumbling the lyrics under my breath, get into my car, and the song is on the radio. Also, probably 3 or 4 times a year, I'll discover a word or a thing I've never heard of before, and then I'll see or hear that exact same thing like 10 times in the next few days. That's always really weird to me. Like, how have I gone my entire life without hearing this word, and all of a sudden it's everywhere around me? That happens to me a lot, too.
Yeah, me too.
I think you just maybe notice it more if you've never heard it, or I don't know.
Once it's on your mind.
Yeah. Next one, I got caught in a bad snowstorm while driving home from rural Wisconsin to Chicago. Drifting snow, little visibility, awful conditions. I stopped at a gas station to get a cup of coffee before getting on the highway, and I started chatting with a woman who was also heading to Chicago. All of a sudden, I got this awful feeling of dread that she shouldn't keep going. I asked if she was sure she didn't want to stop for the night and told her about a hotel in town. I was weirdly fixated on convincing her not to go, but she said she was okay. She left the station and got into a distinctly blue car. I left just after her, but my mom called, so I sat in the parking lot for a bit talking to her before leaving to get on the highway. About 25 miles later, I come upon an accident scene, sirens and lights everywhere. That same distinctly blue car was flipped over and down an embankment, and they were carrying a stretcher with a sheet over it up the hill. Holy shit. Next one, I had a dream that there was a fire at a barn where I kept my horse. A couple of days later, an electrical short caused the hay to go up in flames. It was caught in time and all the horses were fine, but it definitely freaked me out. Next one, my grandfather died in 2008. I got pregnant with my second child at the end of 2010. When I was about 6 weeks, I had a very vivid dream where my grandfather told me that he was happy about me being pregnant and that it was a girl. My daughter is now 9, and sometimes I look at her and can see the entire dream just as vividly as the day I had it. Aww. Next one, this had happened to me twice. In middle school gym class, I had a sudden vision of a baseball hitting me in the head. It made me feel weird, so I stood up. A few seconds later, a baseball hit the wall right where I'd been sitting. It definitely would have hit me if I'd still been there. Second was my first year of high school. I was at a softball game sitting in the fairly empty bleachers, and I had a vision of myself being hit by a ball. So, remembering the incident in middle school, I got up. Right after I moved, the batter hit the ball, and it popped up over the fence and hit the bleachers where I had been sitting. I seemed to have a very specific form of precognition.
I'll never be hit in the face with the ball.
That's a score in my book. I mean, that's a win. Next one, when I was in the service, I was stationed in Hawaii. One morning, my wife told me that I had been talking in my sleep all night, calling my dog's name and laughing. I hadn't seen my dog in about a year, but she had been my hunting buddy for most of my life. About an hour later, I got a call from my mother saying that they had to put my dog down the day before because she had gotten too old to stand.
Oh.
She had been my dog for 14 years and meant the world to me. I think she came and found me before heading to her next adventure.
Oh.
Aww. That's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
One day, my best friend was over, and suddenly, for no reason that either of us could explain, she started sobbing uncontrollably. It lasted for about 10 minutes. A half an hour later, her dad showed up to pick her up, even though she was supposed to spend the night. Her cousin had accidentally shot himself in the head while cleaning his gun.
Oh.
My God. That's crazy. Wow, how did she know that?
Mm-hmm.
And this is my last one, I think. On vacation, my dad lent a book about the Illuminati to a fellow hotel stayer. They couldn't finish the book before the end of vacation, so my dad just wrote our address in the front cover, asking the man to return it when he finished. The man never sent the book back. My dad passed away 2 years later. That was 16 years ago. After watching a movie about the Illuminati, my sister remembered that book. Weeks later, she and I went to a book fair, saw a copy of the book, opened it, and guess what?
Oh my God.
Here's our dad's handwriting. 16 years later, in a whole different part of the world, my dad somehow found his way back to us. I still get chills thinking about it. Crazy! What are the fucking odds of that?
I know.
Oh my gosh.
All right, it's time for the witty wrap-up. In the middle of the millionth meltdown of the day, my 5-year-old said, "I'm just so frustrating." And I've never agreed with her more.
I don't think that's what she meant.
I don't think so either. But it's hilarious.
She's not wrong.
Hey, if you could spare a prayer for my 2-year-old right now, his granola bar wrapper was pulled down slightly too low, and it's unclear if a recovery from this is possible. I wish I had the same confidence as my 5-year-old foster child jumping on the trampoline, who tells me to watch him in case he hits his head on an airplane.
Oh. That is fabulous.
Get back in here. We're watching this Christmas movie as a family, damn it, and you'll like it. And other Christmas things, I say. I have had to do that before.
If you're a parent and you haven't said something along those lines where it was totally inappropriate, you're not a parent.
Come in here and watch this movie. You're going to like it.
And we're going to have fun, and we're going to sit together, and we're going to be happy.
If 2-year-old asks for toast, he means peanut butter on bread. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, toast the bread.
What the fuck?
3-year-old got a toy stethoscope, and I'm happy to report that my heart beep sounds very good.
That's cute.
I went from mama to mommy to mom to, hey, can I have $20? It's a very natural progression.
I'm at my mom's stage.
I'm at my mom's stage still.
That's good.
My son was asked to do a talk at school about his family holiday traditions. He told us he spoke to the class about Hanukkah. We're not Jewish, though. He just made up his own traditions.
That's hilarious.
This is what we do. Okay.
And it's called Hanukkah.
My children won't say a word all morning until it's time to leave for school. Then they host a talk show. Thoughts and prayers for my husband as our 5-year-old looked him straight in the eyes and told him, "Your jokes aren't funny."
Oh my gosh.
His dad jokes aren't funny.
We broke that man's heart, probably.
Yes. Watching football with our 11-year-old daughter is fun because when you get frustrated at your team, she asks calmly questions like, "Daddy, do you really think you can do better than the players?"
I love kids that do that. Oh my God, it's the best. My daughter's like that.
6-year-old was excited to meet the pizza at the door, set up the food at the table for the family. He ran from the door and threw the box on the table. What could go wrong? He then opened the box. He accused me of ordering an upside-down pizza. Why would you do that?
Of course it's your fault. An upside down pizza.
Ordered it wrong.
Why did you order an upside down pizza? Who does that?
I never understood how the little drummer boy's parents could just send him outside alone at night to play his drum until my daughter brought a recorder home from school. Damn recorders.
Now we understand.
Yes.
Exactly.
Go outside and run around. If you buy a box of donuts for your kids and eat the box of donuts before your kids see it, it's as if the box of donuts never existed, I hope.
Yeah.
5-year-old told me she can't help me clean up her toys because she's tired from all the work she does in kindergarten. When I asked her what she meant by work, she said, "Ugh, they're always making us write our names." Oh, she has a rude awakening
Oh my gosh.
coming.
That's hilarious.
Asked my 6-year-old if she was a tough cookie, and she said no because cookies crumble. And now I have a life coach.
That is so true. It is. Heck yes, girl.
I'm not a tough cookie. I don't crumble. People warned me there would be drama raising my 4 daughters, and they were right. My girls are constantly making up and performing their own plays. Musicals can break out at any moment.
Sounds like a fun household.
Yeah. I was humming songs to calm my newborn and realized I was humming Rage Against the Machine.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there isn't. Sometimes you walk through the toddler section of Target and see an outfit you'd like to wear, and that's just what kind of day it is.
You know how many times when I used to take my daughter shopping where I'd be like, "Oh, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
That was so cute."
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
Several times.
Me too. The wax lady put numbing cream on my coochie, and I was like, "Don't you kind of wish you could put that stuff on your whole body and be completely numb?" And she said, "What?"
See, that's why you don't talk to people like that.
Now, see, I think it's an age thing. I bet the lady getting waxed was an older lady.
Probably.
And the one waxing was a younger lady.
Probably.
God, having a cat is so fun. It feels like I'm being haunted by a sweater. And my last one. I think my teen finally got cold today because he left for school wearing a long sleeve Christmas sweater with his shorts.
Thank God it's not just mine.
No,
That's all I
it's
gotta
not.
say. Thank God. It's all these kids. What is
My
wrong?
child has never worn a coat.
Tyrann, Joel will put on gloves, coat, scarf, hat if it's like 50 degrees. He is about it. Tyrann, no. I'm lucky if she wears a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah, Peyton wears t-shirts.
Insane.
Now, he does wear a pullover sweatshirt
Yeah.
or a hoodie, but
Right.
no coat,
I will never,
no gloves,
never understand
no
that.
hat.
Insane. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, thank you so much for listening. Oh, send in your stories. We need them. goalsnightoutpodcast@gmail.com. You can look us up on Facebook, request to join the group, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen, and we will talk to you next week.
Later.
Bye.